It was a blistering afternoon in the African wilderness, and the sun glared mercilessly across the dry plains. The golden grasses swayed gently in the breeze, hiding within them one of nature's most majestic creatures, a rare white lion. Known by local rangers as King, this magnificent animal had long been a symbol of pride and power in the region. But on this fateful day, his strength was tested in a way no one could have imagined. As he wandered near an abandoned section of forest, King accidentally approached a group of wild beehives hidden deep among the bushes. The disturbance awakened a massive swarm of bees that quickly surrounded him, turning the peaceful landscape into a terrifying scene of chaos and pain. King roared furiously, trying to fight off the tiny attackers that stung his face, eyes, and ears. His thick white mane offered little protection against the relentless assault. The roars of agony echoed across the savannah and reached the nearby wildlife monitoring station. At first, the rangers thought it was a normal territorial roar. But as the cries grew desperate and continuous, they knew something was terribly wrong. Without wasting a second, the rescue team jumped into their jeep and raced toward the source of the noise, their hearts pounding as they followed the direction of King's roars. When they finally arrived, the sight before them was heartbreaking. The great lion was thrashing on the ground, surrounded by a dark, buzzing cloud of thousands of angry bees. The team leader, David, quickly assessed the situation. He knew they couldn't rush in without protection, it would put everyone in danger. Acting fast, the team grabbed their bee suits and lit several smoke flares. Smoke was the only way to calm bees, and timing was everything. The rescuers approached carefully, waving the smoke toward the swarm. The air was filled with a loud humming sound that vibrated through their chests, and visibility dropped as the thick smoke swirled around them. Gradually, the plan began to work. The bees started to disperse, clearing the way for the rescuers to reach the injured lion. King was exhausted, his breathing weak, and his eyes swollen shut from hundreds of stings. David moved closer, his hands trembling slightly, and administered a tranquilizer to keep the lion calm. Together, the team lifted the massive animal onto a stretcher and rushed him back to their wildlife care center. Every minute mattered. The ride back was tense and silent, the only sound being the jeep's engine and the labored breathing of the wounded lion. At the center, Veterinarian Drive. Laura was already waiting with her team. As soon as King was brought in, they began removing stingers from his body one by one. His entire face was swollen, and his mane was sticky with honey and dirt. He's been stung hundreds of times, Drive. Laura said grimly. The team worked tirelessly, cooling his body with wet cloths and administering antihistamines to reduce the swelling. The room was filled with a mix of fear and determination. Everyone knew they were fighting against time. Hours passed as they worked to stabilize him. When King's breathing finally began to steady, a wave of relief swept through the room. By nightfall, the exhausted rescuers sat quietly, watching over the sleeping lion. David whispered, "You're safe now, King." For the first time that day, he smiled, knowing they had given the lion a chance to live. The next morning brought hope. King opened one of his eyes slightly and tried to move his head. His strength was returning, slowly but surely. Over the following days, he was fed small portions of food and given fluids to keep him hydrated. The team continued their care with love and dedication, visiting him daily and monitoring every sign of recovery. After a week, King was back on his feet. Though still weak, his majestic presence was undeniable. His coat shone under the morning sun, and his eyes reflected calmness and gratitude. When the team finally released him back into his natural territory, they stood silently, watching him walk toward the horizon with slow, steady steps. It was a powerful moment of connection between man and nature, proof that compassion and courage could save even the mightiest of creatures. King's rescue story spread across the world, touching the hearts of millions. People were inspired by the bravery of the rescuers and the strength of the lion who refused to give up. Videos and photos of the mission went viral online, reminding everyone that every life in the wild deserves protection. The white lion's survival became a symbol of hope, resilience, and humanity's duty to protect nature. In the end, it was not just a rescue, it was a reminder that kindness and courage can turn even the darkest moments into stories of triumph in life.